Your conversations feel meaningless. You feel like you have to see people every day for them to be considered as close friends, and you're constantly agreeing with things that you actually don't agree with just to stay connected to people. Gen Z reports the highest loneliness numbers the world has ever seen, despite the fact that we all have these devices, the same device you're using to watch this video, where we can literally reach not thousands but millions of people at the tip of our fingers whenever we want. But still, people feel like everything's so meaningless. Harvard Behavioural Scientists put some research into this, and actually led by Allison Wood came up with a Harvard social format. I don't know exactly what they called it, but it's called TALK. And basically TALK is supposed to increase the depth and meaning in your conversations, therefore building better relationships, leading to a better lifestyle. So what TALK stands for is actually topic, ask, levity, and kindness. Okay? And we're going to go over them one by one. And with my blue marker here on the side here, I'm going to take notes of what the most important pointers are, in my opinion, when it comes to talk. So starting with topic, what they were meaning when they... Starting with topic, what they were really going for was the topic of conversation. Make sure both parties are interested in it, because the same way I don't want to hear only you talk about your interests is the same thing for how the other person, when it comes to my topics, right? Okay, so starting with topics, what they were really trying to get at when they said topic is make sure the topic of conversation has both parties' interest in thought, because human beings, myself included, are very guilty when a topic of their interest, especially something they're really interested, comes up. They ramble, but the other person might just sit there like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm really not interested in this. I can go have a better conversation elsewhere, or I might just be better off on my own. So mutual interest, is very important. I mean, of course, there's going to be some moments where I'm talking about something you're not interested in, but that's going to be very minimal. The majority of the conversation, both parties need to be interested, and there's not going to be any depth or any connection being built, and this conversation with a specific person or group probably won't happen again. Then we have ask, and when they say ask, they mean ask more and ask better. And what you're asking more of and better of is questions. You need to be interested. Okay, people need to feel like you want them to continue talking, to keep opening up. And it's also going to motivate them to ask you questions so you can keep talking, keep connecting, go deeper down the rabbit hole together, strengthening the bond. So you need to be interested. And the thing with being interested is it leads to you becoming interesting. And what I mean by that is the more interested you are, the more information that you take in, the more skills that you learn, the more topics, serious topics of conversation that you have in your arsenal, in your skill set, leads to you being in more environments where you can have more conversations, where you can build more connections, where you can have more opportunities. Because you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills. People want to talk to you, learn from you, teach you, etc. So interested also to become interesting. Okay, next, when they have levity, I had no idea what this meant until I googled it. Basically what it means, and what the Harvard Behavioral Scientist explained it to be, is that you need to have humor and warmth in these conversations. And the reason for that is because you don't want the conversation to be too stale, but you also don't want it to be too serious. Okay, you don't want to talk about the weather forever. You don't want to talk about work or school forever at the exact same time. So you need to find a battleground. You might start with some small talk, but then you want to make jokes, see where you stand with each other. Humor is a very big thing when it comes to building connections. If you don't laugh at the same things, you might bash heads a lot more than usual. Okay, so you want to have things not too stale, not too serious. I think it's two. I'm pretty sure it's two with two O's. I can't even remember. Not too stale, not too serious. Use humor, but also use warmth. Don't judge. When you see the cover of the book, ask about the inside. Don't just judge. Okay, hear people out, see people out, be kind, which we're going to get to. Remember, let people feel heard so they continue talking, and it encourages them to ask you to keep talking, and yada, yada, yada. And then we have kindness, which is kind of self-explanatory. But one of the biggest things when it comes to kindness in conversation that people, not even on purpose, but it happens, is you cut people off way too much because you get so excited to talk. But imagine talking about something you're extremely passionate about, and then you hear, like, oh yeah, I did that too. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Not only will you might forget your train of thought, but it feels like when you cut someone off, you're telling them like you're not that important. You're not that important. Your time is over. It's my turn to talk. Yada yada yada. That is not going to go well in long-term connection building. So be kind. Don't judge. Don't cut people off. Make people feel heard. Make them feel like they matter. And they're going to do the same for you. And you're going to keep talking, keep connecting. It's going to add more depth to your conversations, and I didn't do you right. And it's going to strengthen your relationship. So do not cut people off, and make people feel heard. Now, what I want to talk about, one more thing I wanted to talk about in terms of socializing with others is like what this Harvard Behavioral Scientist was saying is if you feel you have anxiety or this or that and you struggle in terms of even getting to this place, find a scapegoat. And what she means by finding a scapegoat is she tells her students or people that she's conversing with, when you're trying to get into these conversations, because these are not conversation starters for your close friends, it's new people, new environments to build new connections, to find meaning in conversation. Of course, you can't use it with your close friends, but this is for everyday use. If you start feeling anxious, like it's going weird, you can use someone as a scapegoat. Hey, my professor just told me to test this out, right? And then the blame's on somebody else. And the reason that works is because whether the blame goes on you or not, you're doing the thing. You're going to that person and saying, hey, and you're asking them serious questions about a topic that they're interested in, getting them to talk, whatever. And if you feel like they're like, why are you asking me this question? This is getting weird. Who asks those types of questions? I just met you. Blame it on your professor or this person or that person, because at least you'll either find a meaningful conversation and develop a connection, or you can just run away, blame it on someone else, and do it again. Okay, you get the gist of it? So this is once again, once again, that was the Talk Harvard social format developed by Harvard behavioral scientist Allison Wood, specifically to improve your skills in social settings, to deepen your conversation skills, to add more depth and meaning to your conversations, and to give you an overall better experience interacting with other people. What I wanted to say before the video ends was Allison said herself that every single one of these conversations starts with hello. And it's not necessarily the word hello, but it's the act of greeting. So you have to do this on a daily basis or on a regulatory basis. New environments, new people, greet them, ask questions, learn about people, teach about yourself, etc. This is how this stuff gets done. It doesn't get done on your phone. It doesn't get done through social media. You need to do this in real life. I know this is not my usual learning about a specific behavior, but I thought honestly, I learned about this recently. This was very interesting to me, and I think this will help a lot of people out. You can even use this in your relationships that you already have built. If you feel like you don't have much meaning in them, you can add meaning to them, or you can find out, hey, maybe these people really aren't for me. Anyway, I'm going to be back again sometime this week with a video on procrastination, because I already know everybody's guilty on procrastination, and me and the whiteboard are going to show you how we can beat procrastination and level up our lives. Until then, take it easy.